Guys, welcome back to Construction Royalty Podcast, and today we have my good friend Tomas Keenan here.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Honored to be here again. We've done this a couple of times, and it's like, I don't know, every couple of months, a year or so, we come back and get a recap, and every time we do this, each of us is at a different stage in life, and it's pretty cool to see the evolution.
Yeah, it is, man. We're about to drop some knowledge and show you guys and tell you guys what we've been doing lately and how we're moving forward. All right, let's get this.
That weather was wild, huh?
Dude.
You got smashed.
Yeah. Man, it was crazy though, because like yesterday sun was out, the water was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's looking like nothing happened here.
How you doing?
That's perfect.
Hopefully they got water here too. Yeah, I was thinking, and you obviously this is your zone of genius. We just grab some chairs and set up either over there or something like that.
Tomas Keenan, welcome to Construction Royalty Podcast.
Well, dude, this is awesome. Recap once again.
Yeah.
You know, we were just talking here a bit before we hit the record button and kind of catching up and talking about some of the changes, like massive changes both of us have experienced in our life. And I just enjoy you and sitting down and having a conversation with you because, you know, Irvin, I've known you for a couple of years at this point. And the version that I met of you, I don't know, how many, was it 5 years ago, 4 years ago we met? 4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
So the version of you 4 years ago has completely shifted and morphed in a multitude of ways. And like, I'm gonna talk some good shit on you right now. Physically, you're a completely different human being. Right? And I say that because a couple things, like, yeah, you're in the gym and you put on some muscle and you take really good care of yourself. You focus on your mindset, like that's a non-negotiable for you all the time. But physically, you have transformed from like an adolescent teenager when I first met you into a grown fucking man, right? And like, yes, that's kind of a natural progression for a lot of people, but you've also intentionally put yourself into like the hardships, the hard work. You show up and do the right thing. You're eating according to the macros and doing things to dial yourself in. Like, normal people don't do that shit. I know you're fully aware of that, but I just want to make sure the audience understands, you know, the kind of person you are and the mindset that you just face life with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we were talking too around the same time that I told you like every year, like every time we do this, like it's like a couple of years between the stretches, right, that we do this. And like lately, it's for me, it's been more of like taking a step back and kind of like starting all over again.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you've done some things like that too, where you had to.
I've hit that reset button a couple times in life. Yeah.
And I mean, for the people that don't know you, man, just tell them, you know, who you are and why they should listen to.
Yeah, sure. Tomas Keenan. You're making me talk about myself.
Yeah.
God, I'm getting all sweaty and uncomfortable. No, joking.
It's about you.
Yeah, man. I started as a business owner when I was real young. I was 19 when I started the first one. And similar to you too, right? Like, it's how old were you with the first one?
I think 22, 23.
Yeah, so right around the same area, like completely immature, had no business being a business owner whatsoever, but I was really good at the trade, and the trade for me was custom car audio installation. Did it really well and wound up failing in the first business within the first 5 years, which is like the stat. Most small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Because I knew the business, the trade itself, but I didn't know how to own and operate the business or have the mindset of a business owner. And it was hard, dude. It was humbling as all hell because, and you may have experienced this in your life, people would come to me at that young age. You go to like a backyard cookout or a barbecue or something, and you meet some random person. Hey, what do you do? That's the question everyone asks. What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
I work for myself. I have my own business. People will look at me like, bro, you're like 19, 20 years old. You can't even drink and you own your own business? Yeah. Like, yeah. Well, what do you do? And I would tell them, and I was like, oh, it's really cool. It's amazing. And that made me feel really good inside, right? Like warm and fuzzy, boosts up all those brain chemicals that get released. And fast forward, I wound up closing that business because I couldn't figure it out, right? You don't know what you don't know. I went back to work for someone else in the same line of work, the same industry, same field. And now I'd go to that backyard barbecue or cookout and someone would be like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm the 12-volt manager at so-and-so's store location. And it was like almost stepping on my own self. Like, I wouldn't say it with confidence. I was ashamed almost to say like, yeah, I was that business owner, but I did so poorly. I made such bad decisions. I failed miserably, and now I'm just the 12-volt manager at so-and-so store. So overcoming that was a challenge for me, and it definitely bruised the ego pretty significantly. But it's one of those things where we have to kind of keep pushing through and get over it. And once we start to work on ourselves, we can also repair some of that damage that happened in the past. And eventually that's what happened with me. So 3 years into working for this guy, I got tired of working for somebody. And when I closed that first business, I was like, yo, I'm done with small business. This thing almost killed me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm never gonna own a small business ever again. Well, 3 years into it, working for somebody else, and I was like, yo,
fuck this,
I'm out. I gotta go do my own thing. So I wound up starting a second business, and that business had a business partner. And similar to Car Stereo, we installed GPS tracking devices and dash cameras in commercial vehicles. We were subcontractors for the big boys, the AT&Ts, the Verizons, the Fleet Completes, and a whole bunch of other companies that a lot of people probably don't know the names of. And I was this kid, this guy, who grew up in, middle-class suburbia, Long Island. I wasn't formally educated. I didn't go to college, but I was good at the art of installation. And now I'm doing business all of a sudden with not Joe, who just came in off the street and said, like, hey, I want a remote start. I want some headrest TVs for my kids. I want a sub amp and some subs in my new car or truck. That was an easy interaction for me because it was very genuine. It was face to face. It was a real human being. And I didn't have to put this polished version of me together. And now all of a sudden I'm dealing with these corporations and everything's over a very formal email process. You have to log into this system and document all your work. And if it's not done professionally, and if it's not done accurately, you're getting called out on it, or you're not getting paid either. Yeah. So it was a transition for me too. I had to learn how to become an effective communicator, because I couldn't just, hey, go to the front of the store because you're sitting on the couch waiting for your car and have the face-to-face conversation with you. I had to learn to take that conversation, right, the word, the verbal, and now that verbal has to get run through the head again, which we start playing mind games for ourselves, and turned into a written form of communication. So for me, as strange as it may sound, because you know me and my story now, like I've written books, I've written countless blogs and podcasts and articles and everything, and all that stuff, right? And like I'm here telling you, like I struggled with writing for years, right? Yeah. But it's through the struggle, it's through showing up each and every day that we wind up developing the muscles. So all of a sudden one day we're like, oh shit, I'm actually the expert there. Yeah. It's not a big deal to write the email. It's not a big deal to write the blog, the article, the book, whatever it is, right? So the lesson that I want to convey to the listeners here is, just because you're not good on day one doesn't mean you quit. Yeah. I mean, imagine if you quit the first day you went to the gym. Yeah. Like, oh, this is hard. I came out, my chest is sore, my legs are sore. I got Elvis legs going on, right? Like, would you ever go back? No. Yeah. But you got to push through that crap. Because now you're at a point, and I guarantee it, where it's a rarity if you actually get sore from going to the gym. Yeah. Yeah, and that's how I am too.
I need to push extra hard.
Yeah, you got to push real hard, or you take a couple of extra days off, which that screws with our mindset. Yeah, right. Sure. Maybe you get sick and you can't make it in for a couple of days, and that first trip back to the gym, you're like, I feel it a little bit, but it's never as intense as when you first started working out.
Yeah, and one thing you said with you used to have trouble writing. Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago you were using Grammarly on your phone. Yeah, because you were constantly working that skill.
It's still on my phone. I still use it daily. Yeah. I get weekly emails, and it actually accrues the number of words that I've edited since I started using it. And I think it's something crazy like 5 or 6 million words or something that I'm up to at this point in time. And you don't even think about it.
But it shows you how much you need to work on it, and then you still need to work on it on top of that.
We talk a lot about bringing coaches into our lives to help us. Grammarly was my writing coach when nobody else was there. That's how I look at it. It's like $130 a year or something, whatever it cost. And I got this writing coach in my back pocket. And this is before AI was AI. Yeah. Right. So
now that she just writes it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's still there. It's still helpful because a lot of the stuff I'll do is still written on the phone, and it'll be like, hey, you forgot the comma, the apostrophe, the exclamation point, or the comma's in the wrong place. So that definitely helps me when I'm doing more professional writing style. Because look, if you want to just go on Facebook and write a post and get some communication out there, for the most part, if you're being genuine and real, no one cares about your punctuation, for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you've got to submit a formal sales proposal to the next six-figure client that you're trying to close, you better have your shit on point.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it, at least.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your story where you said you started, you're doing the car audio, you're very good at your trade, and that's everybody in construction.
Yep.
You know, everybody that does hard labor, works with their hands. That's what they do. They're very skilled, and then they think that because they're very skilled, they can go out on their own and
the business will be easy. Yeah. If I build it, they will come.
Yeah, it's easy. You know, but it's definitely not. But when you went from being a business owner and you had to go back to working for somebody,
yeah,
what's the biggest lesson you learned there?
How to deal with customer issues. It was much more of a retail store as well as a custom shop. So we did everything automotive. I learned that and this goes, and I do a lot of work in the 12 volt automotive space still with my clients, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And this may even apply to someone like you, like, you know, doing electrical work. Like, if I recall correctly, you were doing stuff outside of electrical too, right? Weren't you doing some kind of lighting and stuff in addition to your basic electrical?
I mean, it's part of it.
Okay, so like, don't stick to just one revenue stream or the only thing that you know.
Yeah.
Because the skill set you have here to be the car stereo installer or the electrician also carries over to another area. As a car stereo installer, fabricator, we got to know interiors. We have to know wood fabrication, metal fabrication, composites, so fiberglass, carbon fiber, paint, primers, like anything you do to a damn car, like the car audio fabricator / installer needs to know all of that. Oh, and he also has to be the electrical expert too. So those skill sets will help you in other areas. Like, what else does that transition and transfer over to? And this is the lesson I started to learn working for somebody else. Well, we do lift kits and wheels and tires. We do bolt-on truck accessories. And the profit margin on selling the product is lower on those things, but you're making up on your labor is your labor. Your labor rate is XYZ per hour. Right, so the standard in most aftermarket automotive shops nowadays is like $100 to $130 an hour, roughly. Your labor rate's your labor rate. Like, and one of the things I learned with this dude, working with him, is if you cannot survive off of your labor rate alone, you're gonna fail. Anything else above and beyond that is just gravy on what you're making right now. It's like, oh, okay, now we're talking about something different. Fast forward into the GPS business.
After you left.
So after I left him, I go into the GPS business, and my mindset is you have to work, exchange time to make money. So I'm selling my labor as an installation company. We're going to install 10 tracking devices for your electrical trucks. We're going to go to the next guy next week, and we're going to do 30 installs for him and his box trucks. And it's this much per install, and you cut me a check at the end of the job. And I was saying, like, well, how come the GPS companies are making all the damn money? And like, we're working hard for them. And I'm not saying they're not working hard, but they work hard on a sale, and then that sale pays them in perpetuity until the contract is over. Well, what is that? And I got introduced to monthly recurring revenue through that. And so when I left,
the hard way.
Yeah, when I left the GPS installation company in 2020, I swore to myself this. I said, I'm never going to own or operate or be a part of a company that doesn't have some form of monthly recurring revenue model built in. And that, I've held true to that since. You know, it's like, if I sell you on service, whatever the service may be, it could be marketing, it could be coaching, it could be consulting, it could be whatever. Hey, it's $3,000 a month, it's $5,000 a month, it's $10,000 a month. And there is a minimum time period that you're committing to come in and work with me. So now when it comes to planning and projection as a business owner, I can say, hey, we got 6 clients who signed up January 1st at $10K a pop. I know exactly how much money that is coming in for the next, let's say the contract is 6 months. I know how much money is coming in exactly for the next 6 months. So it's really easy for me to work on my projections.
Yeah.
And now if someone comes along and says, I do a lot of work in the operations side of business now, and even automations and stuff. Someone will come along and be like, hey, I got a retail car stereo store. I'm not looking to hire you as a coach at $3 to $10K a month. I'm looking to hire you for a one-off project to help me build some follow-up systems in my business. Okay, cool, we can do that. It's a one-time fee of 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 grand, whatever it is. That's the win, right? But I can still handle that one-off project, still knowing that I have recurring revenue coming in from all the other clients.
Yeah.
So that was a game changer for me, for sure.
Yeah, because you fear that if you're going to take on this work, you're not going to make money over
Correct.
here.
Yep.
And that's, I don't think a lot of construction companies have that recurring revenue. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like a lot of them maybe have something to sell. Yeah. With I don't think me as an electrician has something to sell. Mm-hmm. As like a subscription. Yeah. But something like lawn care, you can come trim the trees, the bushes, and they have that. You know what I mean? So like they can go out and get some other projects, and they have their guys still making that money. Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that, but I had to make the decision of what was best for me. And knowing what I know now, and also making the commitment for me to say, hey, I don't want anything to do with a business unless it's a recurring revenue model, that immediately takes off. I don't want to be an electrician. I don't want to be these things. Not that there's anything wrong with it, and yes, you can make a fantastic living. I don't want to own and operate a business model that doesn't have recurring revenue. So now if you're the guy who's looking for hey, what business model do I get into? And monthly recurring revenue is one of your pieces of criteria when you're doing your pros and cons list. Well, that's easy, because now I just eliminated all of these options off the list, because there is no recurring revenue model unless we get real crafty and go develop one.
Yeah. Yeah, that niches everything down.
Yep, sure does.
So something that you're very big on now is systems and processes. Mm-hmm. So tell me how you discovered that, how you went, because a lot of people out here that started the way that we did, working with their hands, they don't even know this shit exists. They don't even know that to scale a company to all these big companies out here, that's the foundation. Yeah. They don't even know that. Yeah. They don't even know what the fuck that is.
Makes things repeatable. It allows you to be able to delegate to others.
Yeah. So how did you discover that?
Well, I'll give you the whole story here. I was 35, so like 2014, 2015-ish. I found out my now ex-wife is pregnant. We're gonna have a baby. Okay, cool. Well, we were trying for it. It's a good thing. Like 3 weeks after we find out, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm gonna be a dad. I'm bringing this living, breathing human being into the world, and like, it's now just not me and the wife and the dog and the house and the cars. Like, I got this piece of flesh that I'm now responsible for. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I gotta go tighten up my ship here and make things better. And it got me thinking, like, I got a business partner. We got, I don't know at the time, 2, 3, 4 people working for us. We're making good money, but it can be better. What happens if I'm out of work for a couple of weeks taking care of my kid? What happens if my business partner's out of work for a couple of weeks taking care of his aging parents or one of his kids? What happens if we go away on vacation for 2 weeks? Like, I'm bringing my phone and my laptop everywhere, and I'm answering every call still. Like, that's not a life I want to live. So there's got to be a better way. That was a thought process going on in my head over and over and over again. Like, I could not turn that music off. So it's like, all right, well, what are the options? How do we figure out, like, someone's figured this out before. I'm not the only one, nor am I the first person to ever go through this as a business owner. Like, so the thought process is, and keep in mind, it's 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago at this point. The internet isn't what it is today. Mm-hmm. Google is not the same. Like, now you can go and search a coach on Google, and I think I heard a stat in this conference that we're at today. There's over 800,000 people in the United States of America who call themselves a coach as a profession. Like, it's everywhere now.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Before the coach was only like a sports coach.
Yeah, correct. And I was like, all right, well, I gotta go find somebody. So I go on Google. Long story short, wind up finding this dude, hire the coach, and that coach led to another coach, which led to another coach, and so on and so forth. So going through this gamut of coaches, I was actually asked questions first. Well, what do you do in this situation? What happens if a client calls you and says, hey, email me or send me over that estimate, send over whatever, what do? Like, well, I go into my Outlook account and I search for their email address because inside their email signature is going to have all their contact info.
Yeah.
This guy almost fell out of his chair. He's like, what? He goes, you don't have a CRM? And I was like, what's a CRM? Right, and this is some basic stuff, and maybe it's not basic to the listener right now, but I want to make sure that you understand this term. It's super important, right? CRM, customer relationship management software, and there's thousands of choices out there for which one to use. That's up for you to decide. But we started implementing CRMs, and then when I got into that software space, and I started to communicate with people in those communities, they're talking about, yeah, we built a system for this, we built a process for this. Well, before you automate anything, you better have a system and a process nailed down that is functioning and working when someone is manually pushing the buttons and pulling the levers. And if it doesn't work from a manual perspective, it's never going to work in an automated perspective. It's like, oh, wow, I don't know that much now, do I? Right? I may be really good in the car, but I don't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah.
So that right there was how I kind of got indoctrinated and started to learn about structure, behind the scenes structure in a business. And I was reading a book a long time ago, I forget who wrote it, and they made the equation that really hit me hard. Being someone who worked in the automotive field, a car is a series of systems strung together that operates as one overall system. The way that they told it was for a plane, right? A plane has systems as well, fuel systems. It has, ailerons, it has wings, it has a tail, it's got navigations, avionics, like all of those systems together allow that thing to fly through the air at hundreds of miles an hour, 30,000 feet above the sky. Without one of those systems working properly, the whole thing shits the bed and the plane comes crashing down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Well, then you start applying that mindset to the business. It's like, wow, we don't have any systems in follow-up. We don't have any marketing systems. We don't have any customer experience systems. How the hell are we even in business making the money that we're making? So now and this is what a good coach does in my opinion too, is they're gonna ask you really good questions that force you to come up with the answer, because you know what the answer is whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we have to be given permission to accept that answer so we can go and implement it.
Yeah, it's like they show you where to look instead of telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the big one because it exposes.
It is a big one.
You come up with it on your own.
You do, but you also buy into that solution
it's
more because it's your idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that you've said a lot. It was like your people have to buy into it, so you kind of have to like gear them towards, lead them towards, like they come up with it on their own.
Yep.
Even though you already know the answer, don't tell them. Like lead them towards like them saying it, and once they say it, it's like they're bought into it.
Bought into it big time. Yep.
Yeah, that's one thing you say too about the core values. The core values is like you can help your team, help you make the core values, or maybe you get an idea from them. They said something like, hey, like that reminded me, like this should be a core value or something. Yeah. That way they're like, damn, like I'm part of this too.
Hey, I helped contribute to crafting the values that operate this team that are now the guiding principles. Do you think that team member is going to be more bought into the core values? Or do you think the team member who comes in on day one for his indoctrination and you say, hey, see those 4 values on the wall? That's what we live by here.
Yeah.
Like if you gave that person a choice, and now granted, if you have an established business and you're bringing people on and you have core values in place, option 2 is the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you have that initial group of people on your team who's helping you, who's giving you that input, who's allowing you to craft this vision and put the core values together, and you're giving them, you're allowing them and saying, hey, I'm allowing you to give input on this, and your input's going to matter so much, it may end up on that wall forever. It's big right there.
Yeah. I think you also need to make sure you have the people that are valuable enough to keep them at the company.
Yeah, dude.
Because if somebody's a cancer, it's like you don't want to put one of their core values up on the wall.
Yep.
Then they're gonna stick around, and you're gonna be like, dude, this guy's still here.
Yeah, it's rough. I got a client right now in the 12-volt space. We started working with them in September, and they have exponentially grown over the last few months. They made a whole bunch more money with some of the systems processes we implemented. They bought the building next to theirs and have now expanded their shop, and they're doing more work, more accessories and whatnot. And one of the limiting factors that's holding them back right now is they still have the same team. And some of their team members, they have not elevated at the same pace that the business is elevated. And they're learning, and they're going through really hard challenges right now, and coming to an understanding first, like, holy shit, we did this work to self-develop ourselves as the two owners of this company. We've now elevated self. The business has followed and elevated here, but the employees are still down here. So now they're coming to the realization of this, and the fix is we either need to coach these people up to come up to our level, which doesn't always work, I hate to break it to you, or we need to go out there and find some new people.
Even if they're the main people, or like say like people that started with them,
Yeah.
key employees,
Yeah.
you would still need to, if
Yeah,
they don't
you have
elevate,
to.
you need to replace them.
You have to, and it's a tough pill to swallow, because oftentimes we feel emotionally attached and obligated. That person right there stuck with me from day one, and they gave up some of their weekends. They came and worked hard for me on the holiday. And we feel obligated to kind of still bring them along because that person may have sacrificed for us in the past. And it's a really tough situation. It's a tough call to have that conversation with that person too, and be like, hey, you were once a great fit for us and you really helped us out tremendously, but we're no longer aligned. Like, that's a tough conversation to have. And oftentimes it's one you have to have if you want to continue growing and basically expanding as a company.
Yeah. So for somebody that's starting out, for them to start implementing these kind of things, maybe they do have some people that align, some people that don't. What's your recommendation? Like, what's the easiest way to start the core values, the systems and processes, the documentation, all that stuff?
Core values is its own separate animal. I've got processes for it. Step one, buy my book.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's in there.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. We could end it right
Yeah,
here.
there's a worksheet in there for core values that gives you exactly what to do. The next step in there is not in the book because I developed this after, and it's wild, man. Like, even the core value exercise that's in the book has evolved since I wrote the book a couple years ago. But when it comes to systems and processes, what I need to implement, what I need to do, number one, you got to do a time study, figure out where you're spending your time, right? Because oftentimes as a business owner, we're spending time in the areas that cost us the most money. Right, you got to figure out what's my worth per hour. So that's my WPH. It's KPI. Everyone should know it. How much are you worth per hour? And the way we figure that out is how much money you put in your bank account last year. I'm not asking for an answer. Okay. Excuse me. If you put 300K into your bank account last year, divide that by 2080, which is approximately 40 hours of work per week. And you and I both know business owners ain't working 40 hours a week. We're nuts, right?
It's a part-time job.
That's a part-time job in 40 hours, right? So 40 hours a week, it's like $122 or something an hour, right? At 300K a year coming in. You have to know what that WPH is. And I don't care if you made 30 grand last year, or you made 300, or you made 3 million. Do the math and figure out what you're worth per hour is. Anything below that dollar amount, you shouldn't be doing, because you're actually costing the company money, right? You're the most skilled, overpaid person doing the low-level tasks in the company. Why? Those are the ones that we apply what I call the G3 method to, right? So first thing is this. G1 is get it done. You have to, and at this point in time, if you're the business owner, you've been doing it.
Yeah, you've been doing
You have a
this,
really good understanding of what's required. But step one is you have to get it done. You have to understand it at a decent enough level where you can then go in G2, get it documented. Once we have it documented, we go to G3, and that's get it delegated. When it comes to delegation, we have to figure out, hey, is there somebody on the team that I can delegate this to? Or do I need to go put a job posting out there and create a position for this and go hire the right person who's a good fit for the team based on the core values that we've crafted as well? Yeah. So all of these things align, and if you skip over one and not the other, you're gonna have a real shitty experience, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, the G1, I mean, like you're saying, most business owners, they know how to do it.
Yeah, they're just there, and they do nothing else with it.
Yeah, I think the main thing is like getting it from like your skill, from your mindset, from your head, and putting it somewhere.
That's the hardest part.
It is.
Yeah, and I got a couple of tricks to it. This really applies for the blue collar people who are like your audience for the most part. That was a challenge for me when it came to the GPS tracking. It's like, hey, this isn't really a difficult thing to do. but it's a different process because every time we work on a vehicle, it's a different vehicle.
Yeah.
It could be a different submodel of the vehicle with different bells and whistles and features because not everyone's the same. Oh, and it's a different style tracking device that goes in. Oh, and sometimes it's not a tracking device, it's a dash camera. Overall, it's the same general principles, but the work's different. How the hell do we train people on this?
Yeah.
So we built forms where they completed their work, and depending upon the actual device that they were putting in, these forms pulled data from the internet with the current installation manual for the product they were putting in. So hey, no excuses. I don't care. You can't tell me that you were so lazy that, I don't have the install manual with me, boss. No, it's literally on your phone. Number two, we hired a videographer to come with us, myself, my business partner, and my installation manager, the 3 top technicians in the team, and we paid this.
We paid these guys to follow us for 6 weeks?
We paid the videographer to follow us around for 6 weeks, whenever he had a chance, and we went to different job sites. And over that 6-week period, we worked on just about every vehicle and piece of machinery that we would normally work on. He filmed us doing the installs, and then edited those videos, put text overlays. This is years ago, before this was even common.
Yeah.
Right? And we turned this into a series of videos that got listed in a video library for us. So now here's this video library. You're a technician, you come work for us, we train you, we indoctrinate you. This is the company, this is the culture, this is who's on the team, this is who you reach out to if you have a problem. Here's all your email logins, here's all the software we use, we're gonna train you how to use it. Oh, and by the way, here is a library of training videos that show you precisely and exactly how we want the outcome to look when you're done with the install. So we didn't technically document them in the sense of like, oh, we're writing SOPs to install a GPS tracking device. My guys are never gonna read that shit.
Yeah, nobody reads that
Right,
shit.
nobody's gonna read it. But they'll watch a YouTube video,
Yeah.
right? So that was super helpful for us, especially with the new guys coming on, or even the guys who had been on a while who weren't, hey, I don't really do cameras that often, but I do tracking devices all the time. But this Saturday, I'm out in the field 3 hours from home, and I got a bunch of cameras to do. Well, go up into the library, and there's a list of vehicles with camera installs. Go give yourself a refresher. And what it did was it calmed down, it limited the amount of calls that we were getting from the field technicians. Hey, boss, I got a quick question for you. How many times have you got that?
Yeah.
It's
Every
a
day.
complete distraction throughout your day.
Yeah.
I had a coach I was working with a couple years ago, and I'm in his office, and the phone keeps going off, like my phone, my partner's phone. And like 3 or 4 different times in this meeting, my partner picked up the phone and walked out of the office. And finally, the coach takes his phone, takes my phone, puts him in his desk drawer. He's like, we're gonna talk about this right now, because what I see going on here right now is probably a limited, small version of this, and I'm sure this happens at a much grander scale when you're not here. I'm like, yep, that's all day long. Yeah. Because you guys are enabling your team members to lean on you to get all the answers. It's like, oh shit, he's right. So he goes, I bet if you stopped answering the phone and stopped replying to their text messages immediately, that their resourcefulness would come out, because they don't want to be at that job site all day and do nothing.
Yeah.
Because they get paid per install too, right?
So wasted money on that part if they stay there all day.
Correct, but we were the crutch. It was easier to call us and get the answer than to have that guy go up to the video library or go into the documentation that said, hey, this is the current install guide, because he would have to go and flip through 10 or 15 pages and read a little bit to get the answer.
Yeah.
But once we stopped answering those phone calls, they all of a sudden became resourceful and started getting shit done. Now, if there was a serious problem, of course we're gonna be there to help. But we had to stop coddling the team members in order for us to grow and evolve as a company.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're always there, man, it's like they stop thinking.
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
They turn their brains off.
Yeah.
They turn their
Because they
brains
know
off.
you always have the answer for them.
Yep, and as a man, as a business owner, it feels good. We want to pound our chest like, I got the fucking answers. I'm flexing on these bitches, right? Because I'm the
but
best.
after a while, that shit
But after
gets
a while,
fucking-
it's a waste of your time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's like one thing that I grew up with my dad, fucking just like picking up the phone every day, you know, sometimes 9 p.m., 10 p.m., like he's eating, we're eating dinner, and he's like, you know, hey, like talking about, you know, work and stuff, and sometimes it's just text or voice note, but it's like always the same thing. Like it's just, that's just like the life that he created is just doing that shit every day.
Yeah, and you don't realize you're creating it when you create it, because you're like, oh, I want to help my guys. I want to set them up for success. I don't want to ever strand them out there and make them feel like they're alone. Meanwhile, at the same point in time, you're doing them and yourself a massive disservice.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I see that too, like being on the field too with the guys, like, you know, if my dad's not around or even if he is, like they'll ask me something too, like something that they usually ask him.
Yep.
And I mean, they could be the 100th time they do something and they're still like, hey, like this. I'm like, yeah, like just do it like this, you know?
Yeah, they're scared to fail.
Yeah. But I don't know, how do you change that besides?
You got to let them fuck up occasionally. I think that's really what it is. Hey, I'm
Even if it
giving you
costs you
permission.
money.
I'm giving you permission to make the decision. I've also armed you with everything you need to make the actual decision. I'm giving you the resources you need. Now go make the decision. And if you make the wrong decision once or twice, cool, lesson learned, now you know.
What if it costs the business owner money?
It's going to.
Yeah.
And that's the cost of doing business. You know, I worked for this guy for a couple of years, and one thing that he taught me, I took away from him big time, is he told me, when you hire somebody, when they first come in and work for you, he goes, you're literally going to pay them to fuck up. And I was like, oh my God. He's 100% right. So you know what? Let's get the fuck ups and the failures out of the way as fast as possible. I'm going to let you F up, kind of intentionally, because when you F up, like what about you? When you've messed up in life, and the terms that we use are different because our mindset's different, right? The terms we use is lesson learned. The lessons that you've learned have changed you, haven't they?
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like one of the things that you've talked to me about in the past, we'll go back to drinking for a second. You got really tired of waking up on the floor and puking all over the can.
Yeah.
And that right there, with the lesson learned was so painful, you're like, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. I'm done. That's what has to happen to your employees. Yeah. Maybe not that drastic, but they have to go through some of that pain. It has to cost them maybe some pride, maybe some garnish of wages coming out of their paycheck. It has to be painful enough for them to say, okay, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah. One thing that my dad does is like, hey, like, you know, this is your van, like this is your van. Any tools that obviously my dad buys, if they lose them, like it's coming out of their paycheck.
Oh yeah.
And they one of the guys recently lost one of these like big $600 drills like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
You know, and that shit's coming out of their paycheck.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you know, they use something, they put it back like
he's got a chain on that thing now in his truck,
yeah,
right?
He's like always watching it.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't leave it laying around.
He's got
anywhere.
Apple AirTags in the case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're thinking of doing it because all these tools have that shit now. But one thing I did want to talk to you about also is like, we're talking about like taking these back steps when you have to.
Yeah.
What recent back steps have you taken?
Well, May. This right now is what, March? Today's the last day of March. It's April 1st.
Pretty much.
Next month is officially 1 year that I've been divorced. That 10 out of 10. Do not recommend, by the way.
No taken.
Yeah, dude, it's like everything in my life went on pause. Everything at all different levels, and I had to learn what truly was important, who in my circle truly was important and actually cared, regardless of what they said. There was actions that they actually took versus actions that they didn't take. So lots of lessons learned there. And it forced me to pause in multiple ways. Forced me to pause and say, hey, so I've got 3 kids that are mine biologically. My new woman has 4 kids from her ex-marriage, right? Her ex. So we got 7 kids in total.
That's a lot.
So, you know, I went from a relationship with my ex who was a stay-at-home mom because I was the provider exclusively. Now I'm in a relationship with a woman who owns 4 businesses. She's not a stay-at-home mom, although we work from home most days. But her focus is on her businesses and her clients. Dude, that's a game shift right there, like massive change. So, okay, we'll both show up and help for the kids now as much as we can. We have help at home, right? We have a house cleaner, we have a nanny who comes in. And like, these aren't nice to haves, they're necessities for us because we're so damn busy in the professional space too. And we have to take care of these kids and provide for them at a high level. I'm not saying we spoil our kids by no stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
For instance, Our food bill averages $1,000 a week. Okay? It's a lot of mouths to feed, dude. Yeah. So it was a perspective shift of what was truly important for me. So some things had to shift and change. Okay, well, if I'm gonna have enough cash flow aside here, not just to take care of me, the house, the cars, right, going out occasionally, we have to start putting money aside because that nanny isn't free, that house cleaner is not free. And dude, the house cleaner can come in 4 days a week and keep herself busy. And like, we keep a pretty clean house. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, everything had to go on pause and get shifted around and changed to what truly was important. And through the process, a couple things happened. Developed a stronger relationship with my woman. Through all of this, we both moved. She was living in Utah, moved to Texas full time with her 4 kids. Right, we combined, just had water family, we call it, right, the Brady Bunch. Right, we combined families, and we're doing all this. There's all these massive changes and stuff going around. We're both losing friends because we're finding out who truly cares for us and who doesn't based upon their actions. And throwing into the mix at the same point in time, she's not feeling good, right? Hair starts falling out, her back's like, I wouldn't say pimply, but like rash. Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, we're pretty healthy people. Long story short, we find out that she's got food allergies. She's on the verge of celiac. She's allergic to wheat and gluten. She's allergic to dairy. She can't eat eggs. She can't eat red meat. Yeah. You might as well just take all the food off the list. So going through all of this forced both of us to say, hold on a second. Now, instead of going out and calling in, which was not every night, but was more frequent than not, we had to pause. Now everything's all organic. We've pretty much removed dairy from the house, eating super clean, making 98 or 99% of the meals at home with the ingredients that we're going to the store and buying ourselves and then prepping ourselves. So some of those changes for us were in how we were enhancing in the food we're putting in our bodies. The food that we're allowing our kids to eat too have changed. Because now it's like, hey, some of the byproducts and symptoms that we're facing as adults were based on the food that we're putting in our bodies in earlier years, right? And you probably know a hell of a lot about the food that we've been putting in our bodies.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, we got the Yucca app on our phones now and everything's getting scanned. Yeah. So that was a big shift for us. And it's been a little bit over a year now, and we're finally at a point where we're starting to reintroduce some of the foods that were once causing her a lot of these issues. So the pause and the shift that we had to take in the food area has really helped her. It's allowed us to feed and provide better quality nutrients and ingredients to the kids. And like, I just feel better too, right? Like I got rid of, pretty much eating dairy and a lot of other things. I limit my red meat intake. We've been, I don't know how much you've done on this, but we've been working with some people in the food nutrition space who are helping us with a blood-based diet. So based upon your blood type, you eat this.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, neither did I. And luckily we're both A negative. We're the same blood type. And it allows us to kind of stay on the same page. So a lot of the things like, hey, red meat is not good for someone with an A negative blood type on a daily basis. Okay, well, I like steak and I eat a lot of steak, or I used to. So okay, now we're gonna limit that. Now there's more fish, now there's more chicken.
That sucks.
And you go a couple weeks, couple months, and you're like, oh, well, this kind of sucks. And now I'm like, wait, I actually feel better. And then you go and you reintroduce some of these things, you're like, I actually don't feel so good from eating that ribeye steak from last night.
Now you're more aware of it.
Very aware. Yeah. More connected and in tune with the body. And I think that's a big thing, and I think a lot of people need to work on that more so than they realize.
Yeah, bro, nobody in the industry does that. They just see whatever gas station food, and we talk about it.
Especially you're a blue collar guy on the road. Man, I woke up a little bit late. I didn't have time to go and get breakfast or cook breakfast. I'm going to go to the bagel store. Up in New York, it was the bagel store. I'm going to go to the deli. I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A and get myself a chicken sandwich for breakfast. Yeah. Yeah, cool. It tastes good. It's probably delicious, but like, what crap are you putting into your body?
Yeah, shit ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one I saw, like some study or like somebody looked into it, but I mean you can probably see it yourself. The grilled chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A has a hell of a lot more ingredients than just chicken.
Yes.
And it's like, why? Grilled chicken is supposed to be just grilled chicken.
It should just be chicken.
Just chicken.
That's it.
That's it. Yep. And it has like massive list of just like, bro, like, yeah, that's one thing too, is like, you know, we're talking like dropping the alcohol, for me dropping the weed, like dropping the shrooms that I was doing for a while.
Yep.
And all these, like I eat a lot of red meat, but like I feel good, like I haven't made that change, or wanting to make that change to like, let's see how I feel with different foods.
Yep.
It's just easy for me to track, easy for me, like I like it, like I feel good still, but like I have made massive changes to it.
Good.
You know, like since we met.
Yeah. And you're going to continue to tweak it as you get older too.
Yeah, right now I'm going through that too. It's like I want to get bigger, like I want to stay leaner, so it's like I have to like keep playing with it, you know what I mean, until you kind of like find it.
Yeah. Dude, I did a peptide cycle back in September of last year, and I was like, hey, I'm doing this intentionally to bulk up. It's supposed to be an 8-week cycle. Okay, and I'm very transparent. I've been on TRT for like 4 or 5 years at this point. My test levels were like 232 naturally, and it's like, well, this is not working anymore. So got on that, started feeling a lot better, and you know, been in the gym a couple of years, and I was like, you know, I want to see if I can get some thickness going.
Yeah.
So I get these peptides this past September. It's supposed to be an 8-week cycle. The second I would inject these things, it'd be like, dude, if I don't have food prepped and ready, I'm gonna go and just smash whatever, because it would make me that hungry.
Yeah.
So in 4 weeks, I put on 20 pounds and went up a shirt size. I couldn't fit in my suit jacket anymore. I was like, wow, that shit works.
Yeah.
I felt so disgusting in my own skin that at the 4-week mark, I was like, put it aside. I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. Not doing it. I feel better, a leaner version, and I'm still not. I got up to right now. I've been a big guy my whole life. I'm 6'4". I'm 280 as of this morning. I want to be around 260, because at 260 I'll be about 15% body fat if I retain the lean muscle.
That's good.
Yeah, which is good.
Solid.
And like that's like 45 years old. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
I got up to 297 in September on like that 4th week.
Yeah.
And like, I was just uncomfortable. But you know, I'd go into the gym and I was moving weight that I never moved before either. So it was like, part of the mind fuck was like, hey, I'm so strong, this is amazing, but I feel like dog shit 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, what's the trade-off? And that makes me think too, it's like, how do bodybuilders feel when they go through all this and what they do to their body? How do these strong men feel? Like Half-Thor. I don't know if you've seen him online at all.
Yeah, I think I know who's that one.
He's 440 pounds right now with a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a giant human, literally 440 pounds with a 6-pack.
Yeah, I think it sucks most of the time, bro.
Yeah,
like,
it's gotta.
There's no way you can live like that.
He's got to be eating like 13 to 15,000 calories a day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, not your guy.
I mean, a lot of the bodybuilders say like it's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Like you just can't. Like there's a limit, obviously. Once you pass like that limit, you know, of getting to like less than 10% body fat and shit, like it's just no, you can't do it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was like when you're talking about like the divorce stuff.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned like the big changes you made with the family, but it's like how do you from going to being like the sole provider, having a stay-at-home wife, to now it's like both of you are providers.
Yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were both the boss. We were both the ultimate decision maker in our own households for so many years. And now we come together, and that caused some headbutting and contention. And you know, the first 6 to 8 months of us living together full time, there was a lot of learning that we had to do for each other. Like, hey, I know that you have been the sole provider in your house for the past 4 years because you've had to be, but you don't have to be that person anymore. Let me show you through my version of love how this can be. And the words didn't matter at first. It was the actions that actually is like, oh, okay. And the same thing for me, right? Like, hey, I know you haven't been supported in your life in areas like da-da-da-da-da-da, but let me show you how a real partner does it. And it was like, oh shit. So it took some time for us to make that adjustment. And now we've come to a place where we finally figured out what's what and what works for both of us. And you probably have read books and stuff on flow like I have. It's almost as if we get into flow as a couple where I don't even have to communicate with you. We just start taking the actions and we know what the other person's going to do.
Yeah. And then, so we had the Elevate Life. They had the the Mighty Men.
Yep.
And he was talking about flow today. I was like, I know that from somewhere.
Yep.
But what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something too about the marriage thing. Going from son of a bitch. It was something like around the same thing that it was going from like being the sole provider to like now it's like, oh, the work-life balance.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that everybody wants, but it's like there's like really no such thing.
Yeah.
But how do you try to like balance everything, with like your health and fucking work,
Still
7
routine.
kids?
It's still routine, right? It's still, hey, the only time that I have to take care of me health-wise for the most part is if I get up in the morning and go do it, right?
So morning is for you.
Morning's for me. And then, hey, you have to be flexible too. Because sometimes the morning goes sideways and like, well, shit, I didn't get to the gym this morning.
Yeah.
I'll make it in today. I don't have client calls from like, after 3 o'clock I'm done. Cool, I'll get in at 3:30 and I'll work out for an hour. You gotta be flexible there. But try to stick to that routine as best as possible.
Yeah.
Last May or June, my 3 biological kids go to traditional school. My woman's 4 kiddos, like my stepkids, they're homeschooled. So like we have them at home all the time, and they're awesome. One of the commitments that we made, and this was not my idea, this was something that she's been doing for years and something that she taught me, was hey, come summer, because even though the kids are homeschooled, they still follow a schedule. So like, hey, summer break starts when summer break starts, the same for your kids, even though my kids are homeschool versus traditional school. Okay, that's cool, that's fair. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I block off Fridays and I don't do any work on Fridays because Fridays are for the kids. It's like, oh, can I make that happen? Well, I don't know, I've never done it before. Well, if you've never done something before, the answer can't be no, that won't work for me if you've never tried it.
Yeah.
All right, so if we're living and dying by the calendar, if we're time blocking, which we all should be doing as entrepreneurs and business owners, it's as simple as going into Google Calendar and saying Fridays on repeat from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. time block.
Family.
Now, I'm not saying you'll never work on a Friday, but what happened for me is this. I realized that it forced me to get all of my shit handled Monday through Thursday, and occasionally on Saturday I'll go in and do some stuff. Fridays was for the kids. We go to the pool, we go out, go to the movies, whatever the case is. What wound up happening was school starts back up in August for my 3 kiddos, my biological kiddos, and I never took the time block off. It's still there to this day. Now, again, if something pops off, if somebody needs something, if there's an event like this, if there is, you reach out to me like, hey, I'm gonna be in town, I only got Friday to record with you. All right, cool, I'll make the adjustment. But Friday is still blocked off, and what I've done is I've now made it more of an admin day for me to handle the bullshit that we normally don't have time when we're face-to-face with the clients during the week. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing what it's like. I was listening to a speaker in there at this conference we're at yesterday, and we've heard this before, this is nothing new to you, where if you give yourself 10 years to make your first $1 million, it's gonna take you 10 years. Yeah. But if you give yourself 3 years, and you say, I'm gonna make $2 million in 3 years, you're gonna do it in 3 years. Yeah. Right, like the human brain adapts to that time frame that we give ourselves. So it's the same thing, but on a smaller scale. I'm giving myself Monday through Thursday to get the same amount of work done. And then Fridays for me or the family.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, so last piece of advice for the viewers, for the listeners. From your experience, from all your years in business, what do you think is the most important thing that they should do to change your business?
Master your time, right? You have to become the master and the controller of your time. If you don't, somebody else will control it for you. Real world example, I used to not be in control of my time. I was in much more of a reactionary state than I was a proactive state. And I had my office manager and my installation coordinators, they had access to my calendar, and my thought process was, hey, if we get work that comes in and we don't have a technician that's available, just put it on my calendar. I'd wake up on a Friday morning thinking I had the day off or it was an office day, and look, holy shit, I got 6 appointments today and they're 2 hours from here.
Yeah.
So that had to stop. Right? Once I took control of it and I owned it fully, it also taught me to respect my time more. When I began to respect my time more, aka put boundaries up around it, other people began to respect my time as well. And in doing so, it increased my worth per hour.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yep.
Cool, man. Hey, just tell the listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, easiest way is connect with Tomas, connectwiththomas.com. It's a landing page, and on there is links to all my websites, podcasts, all that kind of stuff.
Tell them, how do you spell your name?
That's Tomas, Tomas, no H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, well, thanks for coming on the show,
Appreciate
man.
you,
Appreciate
man.
you.
Yep.
Real quick, I got,
Yep.
what's the most challenging part of being an entrepreneur?
All of it, dude. I think the get-go. You get the idea, you get the drive, you get that ambition, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and then you tell someone who you respect and trust, and they shit all over your idea. That's hard. So there comes a point in time where you almost gotta be picky-choosy with who you decide to tell what your plans are. And sometimes you're better off just taking action and then being like, oh, by the way, I started a business, we made $1 million the first year.
Can you talk to the audience, especially the younger generation, on the power of saying no?
That's so hard, dude. We want to be people pleasers, and I think society crafts us and shapes us into being those people pleasers. And oftentimes, it's in our better interest to say no. We have to get clear on our end goal and what our desires and outcomes are. And when we do, it's much easier to say no. So if you don't have clearly written goals, make sure you start doing that stuff. Figure out what you want to achieve as a human being. Go find others who have been there, done that, and then stay laser focused on achieving those goals.
Talk about branding versus skill sets.
Sheesh, branding versus skill set. It's almost like marketing, right? Branding versus skill set. If you get someone who's a really good marketer, they're gonna outsell their services to you, even if they do their fulfillment's dog shit, right? So it's like, you may be the best person in the world doing what you do, but if you don't market yourself properly, no one's going to know where to find you and how to connect with you and even hire you to do what you do. So it's super important to get involved in branding, which I believe is a piece of marketing. I have this saying, right? Marketing leads to sales. So without marketing, there are no sales. Without sales, there is no business. You've got to market yourself. It's non-negotiable.
And talk a little bit about sales. How can someone who's never done sales or had any experience, how can they get good at sales?
You got to do it. It's the reps. There's countless books out there that will teach people some of the best practices in sales. There's lots of different theories and ways to do it. Go find one that aligns with you, and not all of them are going to align with you. Go study it, and after you study it, after you read the book, you've got to go and take action and actually have conversations with human beings. You know, one of the most difficult things to do is go knock on someone's door or go pick up a phone these days and call someone and be like, hey, are you interested in buying my stuff? You have to go through that. You have to fail. And the failure is the hardest part. The rejection is the hardest part for a lot of people, but it's going to help you. It's going to force you to develop some thick skin, and you'll continue to push through that and actually succeed at one point in time.
Brilliant. Thanks. That's all I got.
Cool.
Nice.